Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is Sunday, December 10th. Tonight's show is brand new but pre-recorded. I had back surgery this morning. Hopefully it went well. I don't know because I'm recording this the week before. But Dave Overkill is on tonight's show. We were supposed to have Dave on 2 weeks ago. We had to reschedule it for last week, which is this week, if you know what I'm saying, because the show was recorded a week early. But Dave Overkill interview tonight. Getting on as much music as we can. It won't be a full 2-hour show because Dave is the only guest we have. So let's just enjoy it. I figured I'd record something this week because next week is technically our last live show of the year. We have our 2 holiday specials, the Merry Metal Christmas Spectacular and our Happy New Year special before we kind of wrap it up for 2023. And we have things lined up for next year coming up real soon. I have the guest for January in about a week or two. But right there, H-Bomb with H-Bomb. Love those guys. What a great EP. That EP cost me a small fortune back in the day. I think it was like $11.99, which was a lot of money in 1984, especially for an EP. But it was an import and they were hard to get. But after I bought that one, I believe we got it in Tower Records in Manhattan. After we went there to go buy the one, my friend Ed and I, we found one of the old ticket tape guns where you put the tickets on machines. We took it home and we started changing all the record tags to $1.99 and bringing the tags with us and putting them on the albums back then. So all those albums that were a lot of money all became $1.99, which was a pretty reasonable price, I have to say. We did that for a long time till we ran out of that the reel of tape and the stickers. After we ran out, we had to find a new one somewhere, which was almost impossible. But for about 8 months, we had a lot of records on sale. All right, let's get back to the music here. How about some Siren? Ever since getting back together, these guys have absolutely been killing it. Here's Treason from Back from the Dead. All right, we kicked off that set with Siren and Treason, Mania Blade, Bearer of the Ring, Lizzie Borden Warfare. After listening to some classic Lizzie Borden, I really resent and hate the new stuff he's doing more than ever. And right there, Accept with I'm a Rebel. It's hard to believe that that record came out 44 years ago. That was the first Accept record I ever bought, and I've been a fan ever since then. I wish it could have been, with Udo still in there. It's great to see Mark because he kind of captures that Udo essence, but there was nothing like that original Accept. I had met them for the first time in 1984 when they were here in Brooklyn, New York. Well, I used to live in Brooklyn, New York back then, promoting the Balls to the Walls record and playing for it at Lemoore. And I got to meet Udo again about 7-8 years ago when he did the Dirk Schneider, and he was here in Manhattan at the Gramercy playing. I've interviewed Udo probably 4 or 5 times in the last 15 years on the show, and there are certain guests that, like, there are people I interview that I've been friends with for a long time. I know, so it's just like two friends talking. There are bands that I have to put on the show sometimes because I deal with record labels and PR people, and I may not be a particular fan of the band or their music, but you have to kind of like it's like a one hand washes the other hand type of thing. If I want to get Judas Priest on the show, I got to have this band on the show. So that's the way it goes, and I have to interview them sometimes, and I'm very surprised because they're very affable guys, and the interviews go really well. Then there are ones with bands that I've been such a fan of for so many years, like these underground bands, and you get them on the show and they're not talkative at all. They have nothing to say. It's like trying to pull teeth. And years ago, I used to keep coming up with more and more ways of getting them to talk, whether it was like complimenting them or saying things that would like kind of let them know that I'm really a fan of your music and not just somebody that kind of looked you up. And it just doesn't work sometimes. And then you have people like Udo, who's been doing interviews, his whole life. I mean, granted, there's always a language barrier thing. We interview bands from other countries, or when they talk to me coming from Brooklyn, New York, I'm a heavy Brooklyn accent. But Udo and Lips from Anvil are like two of the most difficult interviews I think I've ever done. And you would think as you do one, you kind of get the pattern down to like how they speak and where they're going, but you just don't. I kind of got it down a little bit with Lips the last time, and I made out like what he was going to say and where he was going to go with it because he's all over the place sometimes. And Udo has another way of talking that, when you're doing a back and forth interview, he kind of throws you for a little loop with the way he says things because you think he's going to stop talking, then he continues on, then you think he's going to continue, he stops talking. Great guy, I love him, but it's just a hard interview, and it's just the way it goes sometimes. All right, let's get a couple of more tunes on before we get Dave on the phone. We'll talk to him. How about some new wave of British heavy metal? We'll do a little Panzer Division. Here's Blitz.
Feeling alright. Oh, but my baby, I don't know why she gets me uptight.
All right, that was MC Blade, Step Into the Light. They were a great band. I mean, kind of like a little hidden gem over there. I think they were written about in that new Heroes of the Metal Underground book that just came out. But I got to reach out to one of those guys, see if I get them on the show. We got really lucky last week with Restless that the interview went well. So far this year, all the underground bands that I kind of dug up, most of those interviews went like shit. I got to be honest with you. They had nothing to say. There was very little talking going on. A few of them, carried the conversation for a good 20 minutes, but it wasn't that easy. But Restless was pretty good last week. All right, let's get on some brand new Destructor. We'll get Dave Overkill on the line right after this song. Here's Storm Upon the World. Oh man, they just get better and better. Sixth record about to be released, probably is released already, because this interview is being recorded a week early. But let's get Dave on the line right now, and let's talk to him. We missed him last week because something popped up last minute. We had to cancel the live interview on the live show.
Hello?
Dave, it's Mike calling for our interview. How are you?
Good, Mike, and yourself?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. It's been too long since I had you on the show.
Yeah, it's good to hear you.
Well, I'm glad that you're still here. You're still doing this. I mean, next year, 40 years for Destructor. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's gone by like really fast, and also seems like a lifetime ago. The years in the '80s.
They were. I mean, let's be honest. They were kind of rough times for the band. You got, a bunch of kids getting started playing this music, and a lot of stuff happened. Especially with Dave getting killed and everything, and kind of put the band on hold for a while. But the last 10 years or so, I mean, you guys have just been killing it with album after album that just keeps getting better and better. And now, Blood, Bone, and Fire. Oh man, you guys really hit a home run with this one.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that. We worked hard over the past 10 years, and we've had some good opportunities, and that turned into us being motivated enough, and we have the songs. We're actually writing right now. But, yeah, we're pretty proud of Blood, Bone, and Fire. Thank you.
Yeah, it really came out great. And, Decibel Casualties about 6 years ago, I want to say, COVID hit in between. It kind of knocked everybody for a loop for like 2 or 3 years. So I can see the delay in getting this record out there now. But were you working on this pre-COVID, after Decibel Casualties, or did you just start after everything?
No, we started writing and started working on stuff pre-COVID, and that kind of put a wrench in the works. And then Nick decided he was going to leave the band. So we began to search again for another guitar player, but I had already written most of these songs. Nick wrote a couple for this record, and Tim wrote a song. Our bass player, Tim Hammer, wrote a song. So we felt that we had a strong enough batch of songs that let's get in the studio, let's get these recorded, and it seemed to flow really well.
They really do. I mean, Mark is in the band now on guitar. I mean, you and Matt go back to the beginning of the band. Tim Hammer, over 10 years, I think, with you guys now. So it's been a pretty steady and consistent lineup. I mean, does that kind of help with everything?
Does what help?
I mean, having a consistent lineup. I mean, besides you and Matt going back to the beginning of the band, Tim with the band for 10 years now. I mean, it has to help knowing, that you all know each other well, and, you know each other's writing habits.
It's important to develop a chemistry, and we definitely have that with Tim. He's a monster bass player, and comes to finding people, we want that person to be 1/4 of the band, not just like, oh, hey, we have a bass player now. So sometimes that selection process doesn't go as smooth as possible, although Tim kind of fell in our laps, and it's been a success story since then, and the same thing with Mark. So we've been pretty fortunate to surround ourselves with a group of musicians that are really good, professional. They have their own ideas. They're songwriters, as well as guys that do their homework to learn the back catalog.
True. I mean, when you think about Ohio, especially back in the 80s, what an amazing metal scene that was taking place. I mean, Hatrix, Attacks, Axmaster, Breaker, Shock Paris, Vatican, too many bands to name. I mean, but is it vibrant enough today to keep the band active locally and to find the people you need to play in the band? Because I'd imagine you want to keep, all your members within the area so you can write, record, and play together.
Well, yeah, I think the fact that we're all pretty close together. Tim lives about an hour and 10 minutes away, and Matt and I live pretty close. Mark's about 40 minutes or something drive, and we rehearse once a week with Destructor, the other band, Vulgar Devils, that Matt and I have, and Mark's the guitar player in that band now too. Practices once a week, but we try to selectively do certain shows like in our immediate area, because we've been in Cleveland for so long. It's like, oh yeah, Destructor, whatever. But you go to Chicago, you go to Pittsburgh, you go to Europe, you go to Mexico, or any of these places, and it's a totally different experience for us. And we try to get on board with as many good, strong festivals as possible. and capitalize on those opportunities as well as doing regional stuff. But we don't really play out in Cleveland more than maybe 3 or 4 times a year tops anymore.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know you. I mean, this year. I keep saying next year because I'm already a year ahead of myself. Thinking we're going to next year because
Good for you, me too.
yeah, because we're recording the show for next week. But over in Germany this year, last minute addition to the Blades of Steel Festival. I mean, how important is it to get onto the festival circuit? Because really, you can hit a big audience of people, a nice large crowd in one shot. Where slugging out in the clubs, is hit and miss sometimes.
Well, Mike, you're 100% right. I mean, it's really important to be able to try to solicit as many of these festivals as possible. You already have the people that are there to see so many bands, and we just played. I can't remember the show we played recently, but there was somebody that was like, "I wasn't really familiar with you guys. I'm sorry, but you guys blew me away." So it's never too late to win over new fans, and you're not going to be able to do that by playing small clubs in your own town. Or um, it would be not. It would be nice if we could tour. Um, but with our jobs and the way things are and stuff, I mean, we could do like a week stint here and there, but we can't really tour like some of these other bands tour nowadays.
That's true. And it's funny when you say like, you played a show at a club and somebody says, I didn't really know who you guys were, but I really enjoyed the music. And that's the problem today is that when bands go to play live, whether they're newer bands, even established bands playing at a club, you don't know what you're going to get because the people there really aren't dedicated to going out to that club all the time. Where back in our day, we had our local clubs that we went to on a weekly basis, whether you were in a band playing there or just a fan going to see the bands. And you didn't really care who was playing because that's how you discovered all new bands and new music. Unless you were a demo tape trader in the 80s where you were trading demo with people, before bands had records out, you went to a club to discover and find bands. That's how you came across all your new music. Now today, it's just the complete opposite.
You're right. Nowadays you can seek out so much free music on streaming services, which is a double-edged sword too, because the bands don't get anything from it, but they do get exposure. So some young kids in Colombia or some other, far away country might stumble upon Destructor and go, "Wow, holy crap, I love this stuff. This is great." But they wouldn't have been able to do that by going to shows. They would see some of the regional bands that play and stuff. But the discovery of music is worldwide now, as opposed to like in your backyard the way it used to be in the old days. Besides tape trading.
True, I mean, that's the internet. I mean, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. It has its good and its bad. I love it because you can discover a lot of bands quickly and easily that way. Instead of having to make a pen pal, write a letter that takes 3 weeks to get there and 3 weeks to get back, just to find out
I
what bands
know.
he has. And then by the time you find it out,
Or
the band already has a
the
record
letter
out.
never coming back.
That's right. Thanks to the United States Postal Service. But yeah, it is a different world right now. But you guys are still doing it. What's amazing is I go through the new record, Blood, Bone, and Fire, and I'm like, the killer riffs are still there. The melodies are still there, and just the brutality of the music is still there. And I feel like when I listen to Destructor, I mean, there were so many bands from the '80s that they came back years later after, a 20 or 30 year absence. Some bands have still been doing it and they're just not putting out the records like they used to, at least to the old school fans. But I feel like because you guys were such fans of the music and you wrote what you loved and you're still doing that, nothing has changed. There's progression, but yet, you guys still know what a good song is all about and you keep putting them out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. It's true that two things. We're not talented enough to be able to change, and we play what we love, and that's the most important thing. And I know that a lot of the stuff, and sometimes some ideas come to me. I'm going through some old tapes of rehearsals back in the '80s at the practice spot, and be like, "Oh, that's a riff that we never used before. That's a great riff." And we actually, between Vulgar Devils and Destructor, sometimes have incorporated some of these old things along with some of these new ideas and new riffs that we're coming up with now. So we're always jamming and on our own and together, and then saving all these great ideas. And eventually I start to piece certain things together because I'm pretty good at the arranging of stuff and collecting all the stuff from the different guys and knowing how to sort of put it on the map. And the the I'm sorry, excuse me. The interesting thing is that we just kind of keep playing the stuff that we like and that comes to us easy and that we know is going to kick ass and it's going to fall under the Destructor banner, the Destructor umbrella. You know, we know we're not going to try this because that's not going to work. I mean, you have to know what's going to fit for the band that you're playing in.
True, and you talk about Vocal Devils. I mean, a band you started some years back. I mean, night and day compared to Destructor. It's such good music on its own, and I know that you have some announcement coming up about Vocal Devils. I'm guessing a brand new record.
Yep, yep, that's true. The first one was just a project. There was like nothing going on with Destructor at the time. Pat had left the band. Jamie Athenar had left the band to pursue Midnight full time, and so we kind of found ourselves in limbo again. And I just said, I'm going to start something all my own. Nobody can take it away from me and say this isn't Destructor anymore, or this has changed, or so I'm starting my own thing. And then I finally got Matt on board, and all the Vulgar Devil stuff is basically ideas and the spirit of stuff that I grew up with that I wanted, and I had these riffs for, but I knew these songs aren't going to be Destructor songs, but now I have an outlet for this. And the new Vulgar Devils that's coming out is called Witch's Wheel, and that's going to be on Witches Brew Records in Germany. Oddly enough, two witches in the same
Yeah.
sentence there. But this album leans way more towards metal, and the other one was a little bit more of like rock, if you will. So there's going to be a progression with the next Vulgar Devils record.
Man, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it'll be great having new music by you like 2 years in a row. That's a great thing. And, kind of going back to Destruct, I mean, if you go back to the 80s, I mean, I remember getting the Smash the Skull with Power, trading for that demo tape back in 1984, and that's how I became a fan of the band. Maximum Destruction comes out. To me, back then, anybody put any record out, it was just a phenomenal thing, in the 80s, something new. And then everything kind of happened with the band right after that, with Dave being killed, and the band never really broke up, but it just kind of laid low for a while, and things just weren't happening. And then there was always that confusion about there was a record recorded or being recorded that never came out. Then it did come out. People said it was Decibel Casualties, but that was the name of your record you put out in 2017. Back in Bondage was supposed to be the second record, but there was stuff that was recorded later. So people are always so confused. Yeah, they're so confused over the history. Where in the timeline there's all of those records? Decibel Casualties was a whole new record in 2017, but Back in Bondage was a lot of the older stuff.
You got it, 100%. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, we in 1986 and 1987 we started writing songs that were going to be our next album. We were going to call it Decibel Casualties, and unfortunately, we were in the middle of recording. A lot of those sessions weren't finished. There was stuff that needed to get repaired. Dave wasn't alive anymore, and we just were in a downward spiral. So it wasn't until 1998 we got back together again, and we decided at that time we need to start taking care of unfinished business. So we re-recorded all of those songs that were going to be the second album and the second album plus EP, whatever. There was a number of songs, and we labeled that Back in Bondage to show that we're like back in the game here.
Yeah.
But that album, the record label didn't want to release until after we came up with Sonic Bullet. They were like, we don't want this to be a novelty thing. We want you to be current, so put out some new stuff. So with Auburn Records, we did Sonic Bullet. And then they were like, well, Sonic Bullet is doing really well. We have these other songs. Put out another record of new stuff. And then after that, you can go back and release the Back in Bondage stuff. So Back in Bondage stuff was recorded in like 2001. It didn't come out for close to 10 years after that. And then we're at the end of all of that, we're like, we still love the title Decibel Casualties, and we have all of these new songs and stuff, so let's name this record Decibel Casualties.
Yeah, I kind of got it, but a lot of people always ask that question. They get confused. But like Back in Bondage, the re-recorded songs that you put out, it still took a long time to come out because Forever and Leather came out in between Sonic Bullet
Forever and Leather. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, you forgot your own records already. That's how many you're putting out all these days. But it did take a while for it to come back out again because you were figuring in your mind you were going to do this in 2000, 2001, and then, another new record comes out, and then Back in Bondage shows up 10 years after that.
Yeah. I think it was Auburn Records wanted us to do new stuff and show that we were relevant. And I still had this on the back burner on the shelf, and I knew we needed to get this thing out. And then I found a deal with Pure Steel Records in Germany. They were like, yeah, we would love to put that out.
That's right. That was on Pure Steel, and so was Decibel Casualties. From the very beginning, with Maximum Destruction, you guys were signed to Auburn Records with Bill Peters. Bill had every band from Ohio kind of locked up back then until today. Every band signed with his label kind of back then.
Yeah.
And you guys got signed relatively quickly, didn't you, to the first record?
We did. Bill came to see us play our first show. We opened up for a band called the Manimals. It was in the basement club of the Agora called the Pop Shop. And after we got done playing, Bill approached us and said, hey, you guys want to record some songs, make an EP? And we were like, hell yeah. We were like, I don't know, 21 at the time. Matt was a little bit older than us, but we just got into our 20s. And so then as we started to work with Bill, and it was actually advertised in a magazine, it might have been Metal Forces magazine with the Black Death ad, Destructor Pounding Evil EP coming soon. Which obviously never happened because we ended up having more songs and we convinced Bill that we need to do a whole record. And so we did Maximum Destruction with Bill. And it came about pretty quick. It came about in about a year and a half by the time the album actually was produced.
You go back to the mid '80s. After Kill 'Em All, it kind of took off, and then Ride the Lightning. Every band was getting signed to labels. Metal started taking off. It wasn't the underground thing anymore. Every band knew then that they had a shot to make it, or they could get signed to that major label or take it to the next level. It was actually happening back then, becoming a reality. Getting signed to the local label now, and you're saying we have a record out. Were you looking to expand that and take it to the next level, or did just everything after Dave getting murdered just kind of put that on hold and just it kind of killed the dream back then?
Mike, that's exactly what happened. It killed the dream. So we were tentatively going to sign with Island Records. Island Records already had Anthrax. And we were going to go into the studio and start recording, which we did. And tragically, Dave was murdered on New Year's Day, 1988. And then we got to the point where now here comes the murder trial. It just was a really, really dark time, and the record label, Island Records, felt, are these guys going to be ready to do this? Is this going to happen? And they, like a split decision, they just said, all right, let's sign, I think it was Legs Diamond, or was it Diamond Rex? I can't remember. I knew that there was a
Probably
Diamond
Rex, because Legs Diamond were out in the 70s, I think, in the late 70s.
Yeah, Diamond Rex. So they signed that band instead of us. And they used the same producer and the same rep and stuff as working with us, working with them. They basically just dropped us. So we lost Dave. We lost the record deal. Things are, we were going through a murder trial. It was really, really hard to recover. We ended up getting Brooke Hodges, who's Brooke Damage. He was in Destructor for a period. Make things more complicated, Brooke is actually the bass player in Vulgar Devils now. But Brooke moved from Chicago to Cleveland in 1988 to join the band. He had previously auditioned with Metallica for Cliff's job. And he didn't get that. Jason got it, but he was one of the contenders. He went out there and had that whole experience. But Brooke moved out to Cleveland, left Chicago, and joined Destructor. And we did a couple of shows, and things just weren't really happening. And the guys in Breaker and him were getting along good, and Breaker kind of absorbed Brooke. And then Brooke was in Breaker for, God, years, 15 some years, with all the on-off shows that they would do when they'd get together and play over in Europe or whatever. So,
it's always easy to look back now and say, there's a woulda, coulda, shoulda type of thing. Like, what happens if we would have been signed to Island Records and put the album out? What would have happened if this would have didn't happen? What happened if Dave was in a different spot at a different time? And there were so many things you could put in your head, like what happened. But if everything did go according to plan and you got signed and the album came out with Island, I mean, when when the 90s ended and, grunge kind of took over in the early 2000s and everybody struggled and had a hard time, do you think you might have been able to survive that? Would you have built up a strong enough catalog and had enough out there to keep the band fluid and going?
I don't know. That's a tough question, Mike, because, when the hair metal towards the end of the 80s became so saturated, like every band came out of the woodwork that was trying to be the next Poison or be the next Motley Crue or whatever. And then the 90s came and grunge kind of killed heavy metal in America for all intents and purposes. It still lived in Europe, but
Yeah.
there was only a couple of bands, and Pantera might have been one of them that really spearheaded heavy music in the 90s in the United States. So the music landscape changed completely. So it's really hard to say shoulda, coulda, woulda. I mean, you can entertain those scenarios, but we all know that history changed, and then it took all of the 90s for things to come back around, and now all these younger bands from the States are out and they're making records and stuff, and so it kind of cycled back around again a little bit.
No, it absolutely did. It really did. I always laugh because like everybody's like, grunge came along and just killed metal. And I say to myself, where did the 20 million metal fans go that were packing in all the stadiums throughout the USA on a Monday and going to all the clubs and buying all the records? Where did all those people go by Friday when, Nirvana came out and Pearl Jam came out? I find it so hard to believe that so many people just said, I'm going to abandon the music that I've been in love with for like the last 10 or 15 years because there's this new thing out now. And I just never got what happened because, like you said, it didn't happen in Germany. It definitely didn't happen in South America, which we didn't realize how strong the following was down there until like the internet kind of came around and people started seeing it. But like here in the
Sure.
U.S., people just like, I mean, where did it go? Like, we're the same age. We come from the same generation. I came through, the scene in the 70s, getting into Kiss when I was like 10 years old back in 1975, 76, and that's what kind of got me started. And from there, everything started getting bigger and bigger. And I never gave up on it when it kind of, when the things changed. I looked for what was new, what was happening, and tried to find the new bands. It wasn't that easy before the internet started coming around, but I never gave up
Right,
on it. So
right.
what happened to the other, 19,999,000 people?
That's a damn good question. I think the reality of it is the grunge and stuff. Some of those bands and the guys and gals and stuff that were in these bands, they were younger, so they weren't the crowd of guys and stuff that were born in the 60s. You know what I mean? They were born in the 70s, and I don't know how old you are, but I think that it's like a generational thing. It's just this new wave of newer stuff, and then guys like us felt like, oh shit, we're left out of the party, and now there's, nobody's really buying this stuff so much in the United States, but in other parts of the world, metal was starting to thrive and starting to take on a new life, and that was the saving grace. But it wasn't on our continent, and we kind of were left out in the cold. It seems like.
That's true. I mean, I know you had Space Code going after Destructor for a while, and when did you decide it was time to like, get Destructor active and moving along again? I know it was the late '90s, but what kind of motivated you to, to start taking it more seriously and moving it along at a different, up to a different level?
There's a guy named Frank Stover. He writes for a magazine called Snake Pit Magazine.
Yeah.
And just out of the blue, I got this email, some contact, and it was from him. And Frank says, there's a lot of people in Europe that really love the Maximum Destruction record, and they're wondering what's going on with Destructor. And he wanted to do this interview with me. So we did this interview, and then it came out in the magazine. And all of a sudden, there was like more interest, and we were getting more emails and more physical mail, and I think that lit a fire under us, and we were like, oh shit! If I didn't realize that people still cared about Destructor, and if they do, I would love to keep doing this. So let's get the band back together, and let's see what lies ahead.
True. I mean, where is the focus at that time? Because, like you says, metal here in the U.S. really still hadn't started picking up yet. It was strong overseas. I mean, the festivals were just starting to begin back then. A lot of younger bands were coming around 99, 2000. Bands that were
Yeah.
born, when we were playing in the '80s, that are just starting out now, but they're playing that classic '80s heavy metal that they kind of like, heard about. So, I mean, now that you got things going again, where does the focus take place? You say, hey, let's kind of see if we can concentrate on Europe right now because that's where it's at, or because the internet was still in its infancy too in '99.
Well, we mended fences with Bill Peters, and Bill said, hey, there's a couple of festivals over in Europe and stuff. I could try to get you guys on. He'd already, I think, in 2000 or 2001, had Breaker play over at Wacken, and we're like, yeah, we would love to. So that motivated us to like, all right, we got to go in the studio, we got to record Sonic Bullet. We're going to have some product, and hopefully this festival will bite. It didn't pay much. We paid our way there and back. We might have gotten a little performance fee, and that's the way it was for a lot of the earlier festivals where we had to travel. We had to pay everything. But it gave us the opportunity to go over there and get up on stage. So we turned it into like a vacation, and be metalheads again for 35 minutes. And it's just started to plant seeds, and thank God there's still more people in tons of different countries now with younger generations that are really starting to absorb all of this older stuff, this what they call traditional heavy metal and the new wave of traditional heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. Good music is good music, and we're just fortunate that a lot of these younger people now are old enough, they're adults, and they're going to shows, and they're buying tickets for festivals, and they're buying records.
That's true. I look at all these young kids when I go to a show here and there. I'm like, my God, I don't think I'd ever see myself at a show with my father's bands playing and my father's music when I was a kid, back in the early '80s. But, my kids love this music. They grew up listening to me playing it my whole lifetime, and now my grandchildren, I'm making them listening to it too. So it is a
That's great.
generational thing, and it's great that they realize that music was so important to getting this whole thing going, and that it really is the core of heavy metal, in my opinion, and they really appreciate what was going on back then.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing. Great music is timeless, right?
Yep.
I end up discovering still, and that's the kind of cool thing about still being a fan and still being alive is I'll discover something that I turn a rock over and I was like, oh, I never heard of this band, or I heard of them and I wasn't that familiar, and I get turned on to something new all over again.
It's an amazing thing. I mean, Dave, did you think this scene was going to come around again? Because, when I look back now, I'm like, I remember, my father going to, 50 revival shows like in the '80s because his music came back around from the '50s and '60s. But I never thought this would come back around, and not just come back around, but be as strong as it was back then. Yeah, it's a different environment. Labels aren't what they used to be. With the internet, bands don't get paid like they used to, especially for shows and other stuff like that. The business part of it is a completely different model than it was in the '70s and the '80s. But I think the feeling and the love of the strength of the music is just as big as it was back in 1984.
I think you're 100% right. There is no music industry, so to speak, anymore. You're not going to get signed to a major label and get a 7-year, 7-album deal and a budget of $100,000 or whatever to get you started. It's all do it yourself. But there's fans for the music, and that's what keeps us all alive. And as long as we can make copies of our records and we can make T-shirts and patches and all this other stuff, we can at least generate some revenue to keep the engine stoked and keep moving forward if that's what we truly want to do.
Absolutely. Well, this new record's out on Shadow Kingdom Records, your first album with this label. The last two records were on Pure Steel. I mean, what can you expect? What do you look for in a label today? Because it isn't like you're getting them to pay for the album. You're not getting tour support. So, what exactly are you looking for in a label?
Well, first and foremost, I guess for us is, does the label have a great mail order system already in place, and do they have connections in different regions and different countries for distribution? And Shadow Kingdom checked all of those boxes off. And I know the guys from Hell's Headbangers, those guys own Shadow Kingdom, and Tim runs Shadow Kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's still here in town. It's not too far away. It's like a 50-minute drive to go to their warehouse. And I just feel like it's a lot easier to communicate with them than to be signed to a label that's in another country somewhere sometimes. So, not that I had many problems with that in the past, but it's just kind of in the backyard now, and it's a really good professional company, and they got great mail order, and they do great packaging.
Oh, absolutely. I like the way you say, they're only 15 minutes away, which is nice. Here in New York City, 15 minutes away, I couldn't even get to my next door neighbor's house. There's so much goddamn
I know.
traffic over here, so much going on. I couldn't even make it to my next
Depends
door
on the
neighbor in
time of
15 minutes. But that's why you were saying before that Tim was only like an hour and 10 minutes away. We rehearsed like an hour and 10 minutes. It would take me that long just to get out of my neighborhood. But it's a whole different world here.
It's all relative to the area you live in, ain't it?
Absolutely. But Dave, I'm not going to keep you. I'm going to play a couple of songs off this new record. Officially, November 24th is the release date for this. I know the year's almost over, but you have anything lined up for 2024 besides being 40 years old? I mean, anything planned already, or are you just looking to get things going?
We're going to take the winter months to continue writing and refining some new stuff. And in February, we're playing a showcase show here in Cleveland with a band called the Lafia. And it's going to probably be like 6 or 7 bands or something like that. And then our next show is in Hell's Heroes in Texas in March. So
yeah, that's going to be a great one.
Going to come up pretty quick.
It'll be here before you know, and that's a great festival. I know it's going to be packed. And Dave, I wish you the best of luck with this new record, man. And I'm glad we were able to connect this week.
Mike, thanks for your time, and I appreciate the support and the interview as well. Thank you.
You got it, my friend. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Metal for life.
You got it, brother.
Warriors!
right, Destructor, Ironclad, brand new. We're going to wrap it up here tonight. I want to thank Dave for being on tonight's show. Don't forget to tune in next Sunday night. My buddy Sammy D from Ruthless will be on here as well as Sandy Vasquez. And I think we have Roland Grappow from Masterplan on the show. I'm not sure because we're recording the show a week early and we haven't confirmed it yet, but I'm pretty sure he'll be on that show. So take care, everybody. Have a great week. I'm going to wrap it up here with a triple shot of music. How about we do a little Oxen Killer, some Nitro, and we close it out with a little Slayer. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. I'll see you next.
Love's a prison, I got pockets with me. I lost with a dark soul, I lose with a saint. My pride to request, God can't even turn. Evil starts tonight with us, your soul shall be mine. Stalking the